What's up, guys? Um, so it's Stan Mitchell again. We're going to try to do part 2 of the video, and hopefully I do a better job than the first one because I kind of botched the ending of the first one. So once again, we are doing Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. This is part 2. I highly recommend you actually buy the book. I took about 18 pages of notes, 20, something like that, and we'll continue going through them. So I want to clean up the part that I botched on part 1. I ended by talking about, he said that to make the now or the present the true focus of your life. And the line he said is, which is kind of hard to get your arms around, but I will elaborate, is he said, whereas before you dwelt in time and paid brief visits into the present or now, you should instead rather make your focus to live in the now and pay brief visits into time. And what he's talking about on time is either the past or the future, obviously. And he talks about that we typically spend all our time either thinking about the future, like the weekend, or I can't wait to get off work, or whatever it is, vacation or retirement. We always think about these things that we want, and they're always in the future. They're rarely in the now. Or we think about the past. We think about how things used to be so good. Or we think about, I can't believe so and so treated me this way. Why would that person do that? Why would he or she do that? I'm so angry about it. Or I lost this in my life, maybe a loved one or a great career or some other thing. And so we spend all our time either in the past or the future, is the argument he's making. And I think he's largely right. And he's saying, quit living in the past, quit living in the future, try to live in the now, and only spend enough time in the future or the past as necessary to live fruitful lives. He's not saying don't plan for the vacation, or don't think about, if I get the promotion, what might I do, or don't think about, I made this mistake in the past, so I should, consider what I did wrong to create that. Obviously, we should reflect, we should learn from our past, but he's saying make the majority of your life living in the present. Um, He says that the more you focus on time, both the past and the future, the less you are living in the current present reality. Um, he also talks about that no matter what you are doing, accept it as if you had chosen it. So we all do things that we don't want to do. Maybe it's work, maybe it's some family function or civic event or something you just have to do and you cannot get out of it. And we have all done this, where we just go through it and we're frustrated, we're bored, or we're anxious to leave. And he talks about that you will be much happier if in your mind you say, whatever it is I have to do right now, I'm choosing to do it. I want to do it. This is good. And so if you're with your family, that you have the crazy uncle or someone that you don't like, try to be thinking of, of gratitude, of something good about them, or saying, hey, this could be a special moment, instead of thinking about leaving or watching the football game or getting home. I need to be here. I need to be present. I need to make this as awesome as possible. And just having that attitude will make it better. He talks a lot about how the future will always be too overwhelming to think about. We all know this. We worry about getting sick. We worry about money. We worry about, what if this happens? What if that happens? It's too overwhelming. You don't know what's going to happen. Our bodies can't possibly deal with that. And so we should be more almost like animal-like. And if you watch animals, it's just the moment. It's just, they're in the present completely. That's what we should try to do. We shouldn't think so much. An animal doesn't think about getting old. An animal doesn't think about that it could die tomorrow. An animal is just there, and our brains are too complex, and we should try to, in at least this situation or in this aspect, we should try to be more animal-like. He talks a lot about dangerous hobbies that people pursue. We all have friends, some of us do it ourselves, we pursue dangerous hobbies, and the reason is we all know this. You hear people say, or we say, oh, I feel so alive when I'm either skiing down that slope, or I'm parachuting, or I'm riding a motorcycle at 70 miles an hour down the interstate. It was like amazing. I feel so alive. And he talks about the reason that is because you are in the present and you are doing something dangerous. If you do not pay attention, you could get seriously hurt. You could die. It forces you into the present. And by being in the present, you are happy. You're not thinking about next week. You're not thinking about the past. You're thinking about, if I don't pay attention and if I'm not careful, I could get seriously hurt. But by living in the moment, you're happy. So you become addicted to that, because the only time with our busy brains that we can get into that moment is when we're doing something very dangerous. So he goes at length about how we do these dangerous hobbies just to live in the moment. But we don't have to do that. We can live in the moment by just trying to do many of the exercises he talks about in this book and that I'll talk about further on. But we do it by living in the present. The past doesn't matter. The future doesn't matter. There's only now. There's only this moment. And he says, I'll make one final point since I'm already up to about 6 minutes. In the present, or in the now, in what he calls the absence of time, all of your problems dissolve. He claims that suffering needs time and it cannot survive in the now. And I know that at first, without reading how he elaborates on it, seems insane. But he uses various examples. But let's say we've got cancer. You've got 6 months, or you've got 2 years, or you've got bills from the cancer that you cannot pay. When we think about these things in the future, when we think about we could possibly die from them, or we owe this ton of money that we cannot pay, it creates great stress in our bodies because we do not know how we're going to cope with that. He's making the argument that that is true, but as he said in the point I made earlier, the future is too overwhelming. Live in the present. If you have cancer, you have loved ones around you. You have someone in the room with you. You have someone you can call. You're not dead yet. Call them. Live in the moment. Go do whatever you want to do. Don't worry about all those bills. You're going to have to address those at some point, but it's too overwhelming to try to get our arms around it sometimes in the present. Get healed first. You can worry about the bills later. So I've done my best to explain these points. The book is 100 times better. There's a reason it's a bestseller. I'm telling you again to get the book. And I will also say that if enough people watch part 1 and part 2, I will keep going. I have 20 pages worth of notes, and I love trying to help people. This book helped me immensely, easily within the top 3 to 5 books of things that I have read in my 40 short years of life on this earth that have completely changed my life. So the book is called The Power of Now. It's by Eckhart Tolle. Don't wait on my next video. Go buy it. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you all later.